Let that land however it lands. She's trading access to her body for something that she wants. Sometimes it's rent money, sometimes it's dinner, sometimes it's a promise of security. Sometimes it's just the feeling of being chosen so she doesn't have to sit with herself on a Saturday night. The currency changes, but the transaction doesn't. You already know this. You've known it since high school. She wasn't selling pussy, she was selling access. The pussy was just the product. There's no fucking moral judgment in this. It's not good or bad, it's just the mechanism. Women have something that men want, men have something women want, and the market clears. That's been running since before we had language. The problem is the lie. The lie is that it's not a transaction. The lie is that she's above it somehow. The lie is that she's looking for love and you're supposed to provide it without ever acknowledging that love and provision look an awful lot like payment to me. The lie is that you're supposed to pretend you don't know what's happening while it's happening. The nice guy dies inside of this lie. He pretends so hard that he starts fucking believing it. He thinks that if he just provides enough, if he loves enough, if he sacrifices enough, she'll see him differently. But she won't. She sees him exactly as he is, a buyer who won't admit that he's buying. The pimp is just the man who stopped pretending. He looks at the market and he calls it a fucking market. He looks at the transaction and he calls it a transaction. He looks at the product and he calls it a product. Not because he hates women, because he finally sees shit clearly. And clarity in a world built on delusion looks like cruelty. Most women are straight up escorts. They just have better branding. They want a man who can provide, protect, and lead. That's the price of admission. If you can't provide, protect, and lead, then you don't get access. That's not love. That's a cover charge. And the ones who aren't escorts, the ones who genuinely want partnership, they're still operating inside the same economy. They just have different terms. They want safety. They want respect. They want to feel small next to a man who's large. They want to rest. That's still a transaction. It's just a longer lease. This is why pimpin' is the only framework that makes sense in a world that's already pimped out. The culture is selling women the fantasy that they don't have to trade anything. The culture is selling men the fantasy that if they're just good enough, they'll get it for free. Both of these are lies. Both leave everyone broke and bitter. The pimp steps into this mess and says, I see you. I see what y'all trade. And I'm not going to pretend I don't see it. I'm going to build something worth trading for. That's the straightening of the world. Not because pimpin' is moral, but because it's fucking honest. So here we are. You picked up a book called The Only Thing That Can Save Masculinity is Pimpin', and you expected something. Maybe you expected tricks, no pun intended. Maybe you expected game. Maybe you expected a manual on how to manipulate women into bed, but you're gonna get something completely different. You're gonna get a manual on how to become the kind of man who doesn't need to manipulate anyone. The only man who wins in a transaction is the one who doesn't need the transaction to survive. The women will come. They always come. They come to the man who built. They come to the man who leads. They come to the man who sees them clearly and loves them anyway. That's a fucking pimp. That's a king. That's you if you do the work. So let's go.